Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson. We have just hit the 200 episode milestone, and this is episode 201. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth, and I help business owners make business easy and profitable. And I do that with my unique community based marketing, leadership, and self development formula. So, thanks for being here. Thanks for bearing with me as we make some changes and upgrade our studio. It's kind of happening slowly instead of all at once. And I want to say I'm having fun with it, but it's a little different. And I feel a little out of my element when I start talking, even though we've had this podcast forever. But what I wanted to do today that I thought would be so fun and make this a really light and fun episode is a little Q&A. And I had some questions that were actually submitted, and then I had ChatGPT come up with some really great questions, and we're just going to keep this lighthearted and fun so you guys can get to know me if you're new here or if you just found the YouTube um, channel. And some of you that know me very well, I guarantee don't know all of these things about me. So let's dive into some questions. What was the very first idea for the Messy Success podcast, and how has it changed since episode one? That's a really good question because I knew the podcast was going to be called Messy Success and that it was going to be about kind of the behind the scenes, messy journey, real talk of being a business owner. But when I started it, I was great at building community. I had some awesome business friends. I knew enough to be dangerous at running a photography business, but I was nowhere near the highly trained coach that I am now with this obsession with leadership and self development. And if you listen to the podcast as it has gone on, you can see and witness the evolution of me as a human being, which I just think is so cool. And I think about my mentor and how I've listened to his podcast so long that you can witness the same types of things. And I think the best leaders are those that are always learning and okay with being imperfect to learn the lesson and to continue this quest on being the best version of ourselves. So, whoever it is that you admire, do you admire them because of just how they are? Or are you able to see them be a lifelong student? I think that is just fascinating and a really admirable sign of a great leader when someone is willing to be the student outward facing. Like, I'm not afraid of mistakes. I'm not afraid of you guys seeing me make a mistake. Do I feel awkward right now because I'm looking at the video camera and not at myself on the computer screen? Absolutely. But it's not really coming from a place of like, I'm afraid what they will think. It's like, I just don't know where to look or what to do with my hands, and I'm adjusting, and that's okay. And we'll continue to build the studio out so that hopefully I can do a better job at the eye contact, but that's besides the point. So I don't know that like the vision specifically has changed, but I would say there's been so much change and growth in how I show up and how I speak and how I lead, which is really cool. Um, okay, next question. What is a behind the scenes podcast moment listeners would never guess happened? Uh, I should have prepared some of these answers. I'm usually really good at answering on the spot. And this one, behind the scenes moment that listeners would have never guessed happened. Uh, okay, this is my biggest snafu on the podcast. And I'm sure I said it because I tell on myself all the time, but this is what's coming up. I had one guest, a dear friend of mine named Jessica, and she was releasing a book. So this was a really exciting episode, and I forgot to hit record. It's like the one time out of 200 episodes that I forgot to hit record. So we had to re-record that entire thing. I felt so bad that it didn't happen when it was just me. And thank goodness that it happened with such a great friend. I would have been mortified if it was someone that I'd never met before. And she was, of course, so graceful and forgiving, and it was awesome. My favorite interview topic is the next question. What has been your favorite interview topic so far? I really love talking about, aha moments or golden nuggets or lessons that I'm learning. And as I like sharing them in real time. There's a lot of these little moments and lessons that I've had that become just so shareable. And my community members and students always say that I have like the best like wisdom nuggets or quotes. And so much of that is just in really hanging on to moments where I notice that there's been growth and trying to define it. And I actually just had one of these moments before this episode. And I was like, is this interesting enough to turn into a podcast episode? I'm not really sure, but I was reflecting on how I have changed what I call myself, like just like the Instagram bio style, right? So it used to be like Elizabeth Henson, pro community builder. And now I think it says, speaker and leadership coach or expert or something. It's more in the realm of leadership, self development, and speaker. It doesn't say pro community builder anymore. It does say community based marketing, I haven't necessarily changed, but I was noticing that I felt like I had outgrown calling myself a community builder. And I was like, really like, ooh, let's dig into this. And I cannot wait. I'm going to pop quiz my friend Sharon and have her tell me. I don't know why. I just feel like she'd be really good at answering that question, but I don't have that answer yet. So sorry. But in my reflection, I think it really just has to do with learning by doing. Action, creates the clarity. Learning that by really identifying as someone who builds communities, um, was almost attracting, like, I host networking events, type of energy. I bring people together, which is beautiful and amazing. And I love doing those things. I still do those things. I have free meetups every single month. Shameless plug if you're in Hampton Roads. And I am a community builder at heart. But I think what I realized is like, if I want to write a book one day, if I'm speaking on stages, and I'm not necessarily just speaking about community building, like I need to be continuing to position myself as an authority. And I knew that all my community building topics were pointing back to leadership, which is great, but it was really a talk about leadership. So it's one of those things where I was like, let's just say what we're actually doing instead of trying to package it up all pretty. Is really where that came from. So I don't know. I might go back to it. I might not, but it was just an interesting reflection. And I think we should all be reflecting in these moments of like, okay, this is cool that I don't call myself this anymore. And I really identified with it for a long time. What did I let go of about my identity, or what has changed, or what inspired me to step into this new identity? And you can almost see it so much more clearly after the fact. Like I didn't have this conscious thought of like, I'm not going to call myself this anymore. It just was a change I kind of made on a whim. And then as over time, as I've really continued to embody it, it's felt more real. Okay, so let's do some fun ones. What's one business belief that you completely changed your mind about? Sorry, this was the last reflection one. That you have to work hard to make money. We talked about this on my coaching call today, and this is such just a not true correlation that hard work equals more money. I mean, how many people do you know that work 3 jobs and they're still under the poverty line, right? And how many people are billionaires that hardly work at all? If one simply doesn't equal the other. And I think when I really learned that to be true, it's like I let go of this workaholic need to just work hard. Right? I don't really buy into the you have to wake up early to be successful mentality. If you're curious though, I am still waking up early. That's going great. Long story there. You can go listen to some past episodes. Um, but it's not because I believe I have to do it to be successful. I'm doing it because I truly want to. Okay, so let's do some personal fun ones. What's one random skill you have that no one expects? I would probably say most people do not know that I was on a national championship field hockey team. So I'm very good at field hockey, even though I'm sure my body would struggle right now. And I ran a marathon. So most people don't really know about my kind of like athletic background and the skill sets that I have there. And, I don't talk about it a ton. It always makes for a fun fact if someone's like, introduce yourself and say like the most random thing possible. It's like, I won a national championship in 2000. But it's also like such a different version of me is probably why I don't really talk about it that much. But I do have a really unique skill set in athletics and coaching. Coaching field hockey is how my coaching career kind of got started. Okay. What is your guilty pleasure reality TV show or comfort movie? Um, I love Grey's Anatomy still a watcher. People make fun of me all the time that I actually still watch Grey's Anatomy. And I love all of the like kind of medical or police shows. So if I'm really going to binge TV and like disconnect from reality, it's usually one of those. But I'm way more of a reader than a TV watcher these days. If you weren't a business coach, what would you be doing? Hmm. Probably marketing. I feel like behind self development and leadership, I love marketing, talking about marketing and teaching marketing, even though, of course, my leadership stuff is infused in there. But I think I really love the marketing approach from putting ourselves in the customer journey, the experience. I love customer service and managing expectations. And I think I'm always infusing those things into marketing. And I really could talk about marketing all day, every day. And those are closely tied together. So I'm like, if we had to think of something completely different, I don't know, maybe I'd still be coaching field hockey or, some kind of something to do with sports. The weirdest job you've ever had. That's a funny one. So one of my very first jobs was at a smoothie shop. So I was a smoothie barista and worked my way up to manager. Not that weird, but not that common either, I guess. Back when like smoothies were first sort of a thing. I guess that's not that weird now. There's like smoothie stores on every corner. I don't know that I've had a weirder job than that. Okay, we'll just leave that one. And something on my bucket list that I haven't done yet is to write a book. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I know I will do it one day. All right, let me see if there's any more. Mm, ooh, this is a good one. The best piece of advice you've ever been given. This would 100% be something around that our thoughts create our reality. What you think feeds the future that you want to create. And really learning to embody that, learning to practice that, learning to be a master of my thoughts has been crazy. Okay. How do you personally define success? We talk about this stuff all the time, right? But like I know for me, I think it's really important to continue to hammer home that my idea of success is that I am here when my kids leave for school and when my kids get back from school, and that I get to support my family with my work. That is my version of success. Do I have bigger dreams and aspirations and places that I want my business to go? Of course I do. But that specifically is my definition of success and why I really consider myself to be a massive success already, because I'm doing those things and I'm doing those things really well and I'm having a lot of fun while I do it. And that's amazing. And so many people can't say the same, right? All right. And then one thing you wish more entrepreneurs understood about building a business. that it is not quick. Everyone gets so frustrated. This isn't working. I'm not getting results. This isn't for me. And when people have that narrative, it's because they're desiring the result instead of loving the journey. And I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but when you have a business and you just love running a business, and you, of course, love the results and you, of course, love the success, but you can genuinely say you love learning about your business, you love learning about your customers. When you can fall in love with all of those pieces and the lessons, the results are really just a byproduct, just an outcome of loving what you do every single day. And most entrepreneurs that are just getting started, they just are so far from that. They think, oh, if I build this thing, it's going to sell and my life's going to be amazing. And there's just so much more to love about the process than that. And it really is like the coolest, most rewarding thing that I've done. So there you go. Okay. How was that? Episode 201. Hopefully you guys celebrated episode 200 with us. We are wrapping up that promotion right now. If you are local to Hampton Roads, we're going to be having a live in-person gathering to celebrate the podcast. So make sure that you reach out and find out how to join that if you haven't already. And thank you for your patience with me as we're getting all these new setups in place. I'm just laughing because I'm looking at how crazy my office looks right now. And thank you to my team. You guys did an awesome job on the 200 episode promotion. And I don't say that often enough. And thank you guys for being here and for listening. And I hope this episode was a little different, a little twist, kind of fun. I was like, how can I do on my podcast like what it feels like when I'm on other people's podcasts? So this is a great way to do it. Have people ask you questions and then have ChatGPT fill in a few extra questions and answer them. I think that's a pretty fun thing to do and just get to know. You can get to know me better. And if you choose to do that, your people can get to know you better too. All right. I cannot wait, for the kids to go back to school and all the things that are coming up. All right. Love you guys. See you soon.